Okay, gonna go over the two trades I took today, both break-even trades. The second one, kind of annoying how it played out. It was very close to hitting my take profit. Just got caught in a little bit of choppiness. You could see the wick here. And obviously I understand why we went higher, and I'll explain why. But it would have been nice to just tap my TP before it went higher, if that makes any sense. But it's okay. So let me go over the two break-even trades here. Start on the daily. Actually, we'll start on the weekly because it's a new week. So the weekly showing us that we are clearly bouncing off of this fair value gap here, doing a nice job of that. So that makes me bullish. On the daily, you could see how we have this unfilled daily fair value gap that I could see us potentially coming towards. But other than that, there's really not much on the daily to be looking at. Go to the 4 hour, you'll see that we were this morning inside of this 4 hour fair value gap, still this bearish one. So it was a little tough to be like, oh, I want longs, I want shorts. It was tough because we inversed this 4 hour showing that we want higher prices, and I was bullish off of that, but then we were trading inside of this bearish fair value gap, so it made it a little bit tougher. And obviously no news Monday, holiday tomorrow, price action could be a little bit bad, right? Now you could see we ended up, by the time I was entering any trades, we had inversed this 4 hour. So that made me even more bullish. Granted, we're still inside this 1 hour fair value gap, but we inversed a 4, so that makes me bullish. Now, you could see we entered into this 1 hour and held it onto it pretty nicely, swept some liquidity. There is another 4 hour here that we tapped into, and that is the reason why my second trade did not hit TP. I knew this 4 hour was here, so it's not like I was dumbfounded when I saw us reacting higher right away. But my one-to-one risk reward could not have been placed here, or I'm sorry, here, right at this line. It needed to go a little bit lower for one-to-one. So I was hoping it would go like 2 or 3 points lower, and we didn't do that. But the first trade, I was looking for longs because, again, we were respecting this 1 hour nicely. We inversed the 4 hour to the upside. We swept a lot of internal liquidity here that was low resistance. And we were inside of a 4 hour. We were inside of this tiny 4 hour here. So I wanted to see a long for a one-to-one. My break even was going to be the 5 minute, because obviously we could reject the 5 minute, which we ended up doing. And I got in off of the 1 minute here because it was a really nice reaction. Sweep, strong reaction straight away, inversed, market order, and the 5 minute was here. So I got out here, or not out, sorry. I broke even here, and it flushed and hit my break even. So that was the first break even trade. And then once that happened, I was looking at the price and I noticed how bearish we really were. I mean, we inversed this 15 minute. We didn't inverse anything on the 1 hour, but it's just a strong candle to the downside. London low is still in play. At this point, when I was entering, we were respecting a 5 minute, that same 5 minute that I broke even on my first trade for a long. And I was looking for shorts at this point. I liked London low. On the 15 minute, something to be aware of, and we're reacting off of it now, is this 15 minute. The one thing I didn't love about this second trade was that this 15 minute unfilled was where my stop loss was. So I didn't love that. However, we were using this 5 minute very nicely, and I entered when we inversed this 1 minute and this 1 minute. Now I know MNQ doesn't look like we inversed it. NQ did though. NQ did inverse this candle. So we inversed two 1 minutes. Now I could have said, oh well, we took this internal low, so I don't want the trade anymore. But this was really what I wanted my break even to be, this low. And so you can see after my entry, we chopped around for quite some time. Finally started to flush. Flushed really nicely with this candle. But then, of course, we bounced from this 4 hour right away. So wasn't able to TP. My break even was obviously break even at this point. Or my TP was obviously break even at this point. I wanted this low to break even. We got that low with this that same candle there. And broke even. We even went as far as doing this. And when we printed this candle, I'm like, okay, nice. I'll have a winning trade today. That's nice. To me, really, once we printed that was so bearish. At first I was like, oh fuck, that stinks. Crazy rejection off the 4 hour. I get it. But then we didn't, we doubled down and I was like, oh fuck, all right. We might actually, come for my TP. But nope, we end up barcoding. Boop, 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 boop. And that's what happens when you enter on a Monday, no news, holiday the next day. Entered relatively late in the session, right? Got in at 11:23. So it's understandable that price moved the way it moved, and I ended up breaking even. And those were the two trades. And I will show the entries right here, the executions, express account, combines that I'm copy trading. I did not enter the first trade on the combines because it moved too fast. Even with me setting a market order, it moved too fast. By the time I switched tabs, it was done. So yeah, those were the trades.